Hello, welcome to the sunflower tutorial. I am so stoked for this one. Sunflowers have such a special place in my heart, so I can't wait to do this with you. If you don't know already, this is part of the Floral watercoloring book. Basically, we have 25 outlines, just like this little mini print that I give out at markets. And you can paint them. So it's super fun, relaxing, takes the stress out of painting. So I'm just gonna say we are gonna start with the petals and then go down to the greenery, then come back up to the head of the flower. So this will be so fun. It will take maybe about 45 minutes just because we have to wait for layers to dry as we go. So the painting part of it will be pretty fast, but we need to be patient as it dries. Here are the supplies we're going to use. I have a paper towel, a scratch piece of paper, I have 2 cups of water, and my medium round tip brush. If you're doing the little mini print that I sell at markets, you can use a really small brush since it is significantly smaller that you're painting on, but either will work. So the first thing we're going to do is grab a bright yellow, and we're going to dilute it down pretty good because with watercolor we work from our light colors to our dark. So we're going to paint the entire, every single petal this same color. And as you can see, I have quite a bit of water, but it makes it to where that yellow is diluted quite a bit. So we're going to move fairly quickly, but you're just going to do that same yellow through the entire thing. And then we'll come back and do the next thing together. As you can see, because I have so much water, I'm able to cover quite a bit of paper before I have to go pick up more paint. So if you see that your paint is puddling, you can just keep dragging that over to the next petals. So this is my first time picking up more paint, and I did about 6 petals. So that should give you an idea that you can go pretty far. And if you see that your paint is puddling up, you can always either drag it to the next ones, or you can pick it up with your brush and dab it onto your paper towel. So either one works, but you got this. So once we're done with painting that first layer on our petals, we're gonna make 2 different oranges or yellows. And this is just gonna go on top of the yellow that we already have to add some contrast and some interest into our petals. So I'm making more of a rustic orange, and then my second color will be more of like a brown yellow. So you can copy these colors, or you are more than welcome to pick whatever colors you want on your petals. Once you've figured out the colors that you like and you've tested it on your practice sheet to make sure they flow together well, then you're ready to get started on putting your paint down on the final piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm grabbing the orange, the rustic orange that I made, and then I'm going to make sure that before I start painting that my yellow is dry, and it is. So I'm just going to start painting this orange kind of randomly throughout my petals. So the first thing I'm going to show you is when you are wanting to have a little bit of a gradient on your petals, you can put your color down. So I'm putting one color down. And then you see how there's a harsh line there? All you have to do is clean your brush off and dab your brush to where it's fairly dry. And then slowly pick up that paint. And you'll dab your brush off every time so that it gets that pigment off. And you see how it's making just that really pretty smooth gradient? So you can do that with your petals on the side, having like part of the petal being shaded. The next ones that we're gonna work on is if you wanted the middle to be darker. So we're just doing that like middle area, leaving it for a little bit, and then we'll come back and kind of blend that together so there's not as much harsh of a line. So you just kind of get to play with it. You're gonna have some color throughout the whole thing. So it's not every petal is gonna be this color. You can move it around, skip some. This petal is gonna be just the entire thing is this color. So it's really just what you choose to do. And there's no wrong way to do it. So we're just gonna go around the flower and put just kind of randomly your orange and then your yellow, and then after that we can come back and see, do we need more color? Do we want to like get more vibrant with it? It's all up to you, but what's nice is we can let it dry and then we can move forward after that. So let's do that and then we'll reevaluate here in a minute. Now that we've put both those colors down, I want to add more of a vibrant color. So I'm just doing that same yellow that we did in the very beginning, but adding less water to it. And then I'm gonna just go over certain areas that I want to be brighter. Okay, so the last thing that I want to do before kind of finishing up our petals is I'm adding our darker orange brownish color. Really, it's just a darker color of what we're already using. I'm kind of mixing that orange that we did and yellow together to make it just a little bit darker for our shadowed areas. So you can fill out an entire petal, or you can just do kind of where you think it would be shaded, which a lot of the time is like on the bottom side of the petals. So as you can see, I'm doing some that are the entire petal and others that will just be a more small, just on the inner parts of the flower. So go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna move on to the greenery. All right, so what I'm gonna have you do is mix 3 different colors of green. We want a more vibrant green that's maybe a little bit more diluted for our first layer, and then we're gonna have a medium shade green and a dark green. So that can be all of the same shade. I like to do it kind of all just a little bit different. So one of them is going to be more foresty. So if you have a vibrant green and you don't have a foresty one, all you need to do is add purple or a little bit of red to your green, and that will help to make it more of a neutral color. So I have my kind of blue-green, forest green, and a vibrant green that has more yellow tones to it. So once you have checked them on your scratch sheet and you make sure you like them and they flow together well, all we're gonna do is grab our lighter green and we'll get started on the leaves. Okay, so I just have my diluted green and I'm just painting that outside of the top petal. So as you can see, I'm leaving little white lines, and I'm doing that just to show some reflection of the sun, and it just adds a fun texture and look to your leaves. So once you have your entire leaf filled with this diluted green, and if you see, I have some puddles on my stem, so I'm just coming through and I'm brushing them off and dabbing that water off on my paper towel. So if you see yours doing that, you can definitely go back and just lift that water off before it starts to leave those lines. While my leaf is still wet, I'm coming in with just that little bit of a brighter or have more pigmented color of green coming in. So I actually don't want to bring my dark color in yet, so I'm just getting a more brighter color of the one we already have. And I'm dropping it in just to that bottom middle area of the leaf, and I'm bringing it down through the stem. So I'm not covering the entire thing. You see how I'm leaving some of that first color that we laid down? This is just going to be showing some fun colors throughout it at the end. So now we're doing that same thing on the other side, on the right side leaf. You're using that first green, the more diluted one, for our first layer, and you're gonna paint the entire thing while still leaving some white lines like we did on the other petal. So I have them coming from the top of the leaf, kind of just straight down or at like a vertical angle following the angle of the leaf. So now that we have that, I'm dropping in that more vibrant green and just bringing it throughout the whole leaf. So I'm not doing the whole thing, like I said before, but I am just letting the water, because it is still wet, I'm just letting it take it to where it wants to go. And then we're gonna start on this bottom leaf, doing the same type of technique. So now that we have that, I'm just grabbing that more vibrant green and I'm dropping it in just that corner. On the reference picture on the left side of the screen, you can see how the right side of the flower has a little highlight at the top, but then it also has like a darker shade towards the right side. So that's what we're doing, is we're building it up with layers. So this first one, we're just doing the lighter color, and then we're coming in now on the top leaf with the darker color, and I'm just bringing it along the bottom at first and then doing these little strokes, kind of bringing that color up towards the top and then down through the stem. Once you've done that, we're going to come into the bottom leaf and just fill in with our diluted green that we've been using on all the leaves, and we're just going to fill in the entire thing. And then we'll come back later and add more color like we have been with the others. So now I'm just bringing in our vibrant green into the body or the upper part of this leaf, and I don't know if you can see it, but I'm leaving a little tiny white line in between the leaf that we've already painted and the other side, just so that our colors don't bleed together. And then I'm adding just a little bit more pigment to the inner part of the leaf. So now I have my darker green and I'm just kind of bringing it in at a curve to that bottom right side leaf. And if it helps, just pause it and look at our reference image, because I'm doing the same shapes. So I'm bringing in that more brighter color of green and I'm bringing it to the top of that leaf and to the bottom right side. Same thing for this side, the left side leaf. We are just doing that entire, the outline gives you exactly where to paint this. So we're just making that bottom side of the leaf one color and then the top side. So we're going to let that dry and we're going to do the stem. So I'm just doing the diluted green that we made in the beginning and going all the way down. So while we let that dry, I'm grabbing some darker green, more of like my foresty green, and I'm coming in and just doing some darker areas of the stem and of the leaves. So on the upper part of this bottom leaf, I'm just filling it in just to that top area. And then I'm coming in there's a little corner in the right side that I dab some color into. And this works out nice while it's still wet because the water kind of blends it together really well for you. And if not, then all you need to do is that technique that we did towards the beginning with the petals, where you can grab a clean brush and dab it off on your brush and kind of help gradually move it along. So as you can see, I'm just coming into all the leaves and I'm making those darker, more shaded areas. So if you want to do that while I also do it, we'll come back together once that's done and move on to the middle head of the flower. All right, here we go with the head of the flower. So you're going to use a diluted but fairly vibrant yellow, kind of like the one that we used in the very beginning for the petals. And you're just dabbing your brush along the entire middle, and you can leave white space because it will just leave area for it to look like the sun is hitting it and reflecting off. It looks really beautiful towards the end. So you're just dabbing in that color through the entire middle. And then now I noticed that I wanted some more green on my bottom leaf, so I'm gonna quickly do that. And then we'll get back to the middle of the flower. And we can do that because we can wait until that first layer of yellow is pretty much dry. So it doesn't need to be completely dry, but just enough. So if you have any finishing touches on your leaves that you want to deal with while it's a little bit more dry and manageable, now is the time to do that. So I'm just bringing in just some fun colors into my leaves. I think that's pretty much it that I want to do though. Just adding in a little bit more contrast and interest. But then we're gonna grab an orange. So if you already have yours mixed, that's totally fine. If you need to remix it, all you need is some orange, maybe even add a little bit of red into it to really darken it up. And then you're gonna dab that color into the middle. So not the very middle, but you're gonna do like a circle towards the middle of the flower. So you see how I'm leaving some of the very middle of the flower yellow? That's because I'm gonna come in with some other colors towards the end. So you have like a little donut shape, and then you're gonna do the outside of the flower as well. So you're gonna have kind of like two donuts. And you can make them go into the middle a little bit. Just make sure the outside is more heavy than the inside. You see how that's already forming dimension? And it looks so pretty. I am loving this, so I hope that you're happy with what you're creating. So once you've done that, I'm grabbing more of a red, more vibrant, darker red, and I'm dabbing that in a circle on the inside part of the circle. So once you've done that, I'm also going to be making like a more brown, dark brown color to come in and do those darker areas of the inside of the flower. So this is going to be like on the reference image on part of the inside of the flower. As you can see, I'm just going around the inner part, and then I'm going to come in too with that dark color along the edges that are close to where the petals and the head of the flower meet. So you're going to do that around the entire thing. And if you notice that your painting is really wet, like overly wet, just start dabbing some of that off. And if it takes some pigment off, that's okay. Just wait for it to dry and then start doing the same method again, but this time with a little bit less water. I'm able to do this because I'm not using as much water on my brush, so it doesn't smear together as much as it would if I had a full brush full of water and paint. So I'm grabbing like a Barney color and I'm bringing it in the middle of my flower just to add a little bit more interest and colors that I love. Okay, so you guys, other than that, this flower is done. So if you are someone that does not want a background, then this is your finished painting and it looks so beautiful. So I hope you're really happy with it. If not, tell me in the comments, what would you like to learn? What would you like to improve? What were you happy with? Any of the things I want to hear. But thanks for painting with me. If you haven't already, I would definitely recommend grabbing the Floral watercoloring book. I'll link it below. It has 25 paintings. Now we have 13 tutorials to go along with them. And it's really just a beautiful, fun way to relax and unwind. So now, if you're like wanting to learn to do a background, I'm gonna do a blue, more vibrant background. So what I did is I taped my paper down, and I do that because if you don't, your paper's gonna warp. And let's be real, it is so satisfying when you can untape your page and have those sharp lines that look so nice. So here's my 2 tips. 1, you gotta move pretty quickly with the background. If you're not wanting harsh lines, you've gotta move fast enough that your next section is being painted before your last section dries. Otherwise, you're gonna have these weird like transitions of sections. And if you are wanting a more smooth background, add water. Don't choose a color that's super vibrant. Do a diluted, lots of water, have your paint ready to go so you don't have to sit there and mix it. But other than that, just have fun. Painting is supposed to be fun. If it's stressing you out, just let go of that comparison that you need to be or the expectation that you put on yourself to be so good, because guess what? Even artists that have been painting for ages mess up and it doesn't turn out exactly how they want. So just embrace the process, have fun, and subscribe to this channel so we can paint together more. But anyways, have the best day, and if you ended up painting along, send me your finished product because I'd love to see. Have the best day.